we're playing professionals, players and coaches. And we got a ridiculous level of respect for that. And so, write your story, man. Follow your storylines about trap games and things of that nature. We understand what we're going into in Jacksonville, that's a group that's trying to kick our butt, a professional group, a capable group, and we're preparing with that understanding.
Okay, I never say this, but I'm ready to play when I listen to Mike Tomlin talk. So I've never asked you this question, but what is it like to play for him? What is it like to know him? Because his delivery as an orator is just singular. I've never heard anyone who talks like him. Does he talk like that all the time?
Absolutely. If you see him out of the restaurant, if you go into his office when he's talking to his kids, listen, if you Dino and Mason, that's the way you get your talk before school. You're going to go to school. I don't care what happens if the teacher likes you, if the teacher doesn't like you. Standard is the standard. You're going to go there. That's who Mike T is. And it's always the exact same way. Whether you're talking about should we eat this at lunch or should we decide to dress this way on the road. Coach Tomlin sees things one way, and he sees those things as a competition. He sees those things as complete excellence. And also, what I think you guys missed, that I hope you're not mad at me for saying this, is he doesn't really give a lot of credence to what we say. He doesn't, and I'm not talking about just players, but media members, he don't think y'all understand it. He doesn't feel like y'all can get it. That's why he said you write the stories you want to write. Because in his mind, he's like, y'all ain't been through this. Y'all ain't seen this. Y'all don't know what this is. You have to be set up a certain way to do this year in, year out, day in, day out for 14 years and not lose and not be a loser ever. The man's never been a loser. He's never had a losing season, and that's because he approaches every day the same way. So the Jags gonna get the same treatment the Kansas City Chiefs gonna get from Mike Tomlin.
He is low-key the best coach in the NFL, actually, if you look at what he has accomplished in the last few years. But Dominique, what would you give? I just would like to order lunch with that man. I would like to sit there and order lunch in a restaurant with Mike Tomlin.
I admire Mike Tomlin. I'm happy that his son is a Maryland Terrapin, because I think that maybe that will bleed into the organization there and even will get better. I love it. The Standard of the Standard is my favorite. This morning when I woke up, my 4-year-old, I woke her up before she had to go to pre-kindergarten. I looked her in the eye and I said, look, today, the Standard is the standard. I'm trying to raise my kids like Mike Tomlin raises that team, because it is incredible. I told her that peanut butter and jelly is for losers. You better put some meat on that sandwich, because the Standard is the standard today, little girl.
I like it. You know what? And she's going to have an excellent day. She's going to be the best she can be today. So, David Pollack, let me come to you then on this thought. In college football, we do talk about trap games, right? There are teams that they should, 30-point favorites, 40-point favorites, teams that literally don't belong on the same field. That doesn't exist in the NFL, does it? Like the Jacksonville Jaguars, they can beat the Steelers if the Steelers don't show up, right?
Well, I mean, absolutely. And the Jaguars, if you're watching them, by the way, it's not the MAC, but they got an FCS running back, James Robinson, that's balling. Jake Luton take over for Gardner Minshew at the quarterback spot, and he's playing great. So, I mean, they're playing competitive ball games. You see them losing extremely close week after week. So, yeah, the Jaguars are professional. And, and James Robinson, if you're not watching him, by the way, fantasy people I know pay attention to this more, but he's putting up big numbers. He's breaking tackles. He's catching the ball in the backfield. He wears number 30, so it ain't the best look at running back, but that man is nice, and the Steelers will be ready for him.
RC, you were saying it earlier that every now and again when there's a team that's really bad, like let's use the Jets this year, they're the worst team in the NFL, people will say, well, how would it go if they played Alabama? How would that go, RC?
They would stump Alabama out. You know why? Because we are looking at Alabama and we say, you know what? They have all of these 5 stars, all of these 4 stars. Well, you know what the Jets have? They have 53 professionals. And I think we start to miss that, because people who don't play and people who sit on the outside or people who critique it want to talk about how bad certain dudes are. Yeah, but they better than you. They were picked, they were drafted, they were kept. Like, it almost pisses me off when we start to have these conversations because you undermine what these men truly are, what these men have accomplished, what they've gone through. And when you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's a team of professional football players. It's not a team of some maybes. It's not a team of let me evaluate this guy and scout him and maybe we could draft him. It's a team of dudes who made it. And when you do that, you have a certain level of pride, you have a certain level of skill, and you will show up to try to win every week. And some weeks, it's your week, unless you're the Jets.
It hasn't been their week in a very long time. David, has your hand up. Go ahead.
Greeny, like, y'all remember growing up, right? Like, you grow up and you start to get like 17 or whatever age it is, depending on how big your daddy is. And when you get to that point, you're like, yeah, I think I can take him. I think I can try him. Man, you don't get your grown man body till you're in your late 20s. Like, that testosterone's in full effect. Like, that's some adults. That's some grown-ups. You're going to put your hands on your daddy and you're going to learn really quickly what's going to happen.
My father was named Arnold. He was a 5'9" lawyer. I never had that thought once. Literally my entire life. I never once wondered that. It was never on the list of options of things that might happen. My dad and I will have a physical fight, and maybe I'll win. Go ahead, Neek.
Why did we get away from parenting with Mike Tomlin? That's what I want to stay focused on. I want to learn how to do that. I would like to tell all my kids that excuses are the tools of the incompetent. Focus today. No crayons, only pens, kids.
Okay. We've gotten out of hand here,
Hey,
but in a good way. Meanwhile, let us go.
Dominique.
Let's go, RC, to your power rankings. Every week, ESPN puts out their power rankings, right? And right now, they've got the Steelers, the unbeaten Steelers at number 1. The Chiefs are number 2. You see Green Bay, New Orleans, and Baltimore rounding out the top 5. But the power rankings that we like here on Get Up are Ryan Clark's power rankings, and he is here to reveal his exclusive list right now. Go ahead, RC.
Yeah, the first thing I want to tell you is that ESPN is wrong. I don't care if it's my employer. They're wrong. Because at number 5, I was thinking, oh, the Buccaneers. But I'm going with the Rams, Greeny. I've been waiting to bring this back for 3 years, Greeny. Humble pies, Greeny. I've been waiting to say that Aaron Donald is the man that is running the league. But it's not just Aaron Donald on defense anymore. They got Aaron Donald. They got Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd coming off the side, Darius Williams at the other corner. They got a safety by the name of JJ that's balling. They run the football, and off of that, Jared Goff gets loose. I don't care if it's Tyler Higbee. I don't care if it's Cooper Kupp. I don't care if it's Everett, if it's Woods, if it's Reynolds. They have a number of people that can make plays. And when you are that team, with that coach, you have a chance. They win the NFC West. And then I'm going to the Packers. And people are going to say, but they just played the Jaguars. You heard what Mike T said about the Jaguars. You could write that stuff, but they can play. They were also missing some corners in the game, so they didn't have their full complement of defensive players. But we saw the front step up. We saw Rashawn Gary. You saw Zadarius Smith. You saw Preston Smith get pressure. And Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are going slap off. If you cover one of them, the Wisconsin route wizard is going to route you up and you're in trouble. And when Aaron Rodgers, when he's surly Aaron Rodgers, when he starts to get a little attitude, you can see those things come out. He's playing at an MVP level. I'm going to stay with the Packers right there. And at number 3, I'm going with the Saints. I don't care that Drew Brees is hurt. The Saints don't care that Drew Brees is hurt. We watched them play last year with Teddy Bridgewater. We've been waiting on this defense to take that next step, waiting on the defense to show us that they are championship level. Did you watch that game against Tom Brady and them? Not the Buccaneers, Tom Brady and them. They've assembled all these guys. Antonio Brown is back. Mike Evans is so good. Mike Evans was on the front of a milk carton fooling around with Marshawn Lattimore. Janoris Jenkins is balling. Malcolm Jenkins has gotten 2 picks in the last 2 games. And Cam Jordan is the most underrated rusher in football. And now they got Jameis Winston. You don't know what they're going to do. They can add an explosive pass game, and now we can fix Jameis. He don't have to turn it over, and that rolls me right into number 2, who is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've been keeping this terrible towel here until I can put them at number 1. Well, actually, I got 6 of them. I rotate them out, and I wash them because it's COVID, and you quarantine, and you can't keep using things over and over again, though I love Myron Cope and what he did for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting better and better each week. The last 3 weeks, Ben Roethlisberger's played at an MVP level. I think we might start mentioning him in that conversation. Maybe we just want to. 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They also have the coach of the year. We know that the standard is the standard. We know that excuses build monuments of nothingness, and there are tools of the incompetent. We also know no matter what, it's the next man up. But the next man up is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I see it. They're 7-1, RC. They lost to the Raiders. I don't give a dang. They got Patrick Mahomes. As long as they got Patrick Mahomes, they're going to probably be my number one. He is the best doing it. Defense coming around, turning the football over. They got the landlord on the other side. That's right, Tyrann Mathieu. You know you balling when you go from the honey badger who has to live outside and fend for himself, and now you the landlord. You done got so rich, became so big time, you own the dang building. And that's who the Kansas City Chiefs are. They own the dang building. It's the Kansas City Chiefs against the field. Not just the field in the AFC, the entire field. But when you got a quarterback that can throw the whole field, you ain't even tripping.
All right, RC, outstanding with your top 5. But before we go, earlier today, what you were doing, explain your tweets, you said, quote, I'm a firm believer that specialists are not football players, even Pat McAfee. Oh, well, Pat McAfee has responded on Twitter. There he is. He's looking for you. Oh, he sees you.
Hey, I'm still here, Pat. I'm still here.